Hello, so I thought I'd give you a bit of an update as to how things are going. So I am still pretty ill. In fact, over the last week or so it's been getting gradually worse. I'm having more bad days than good days, and I'm on some much stronger painkillers. Now on something called tramadol, which is a narcotic and is a lot stronger than I'd like to be on, but I really do need to be on them at the moment. I am going into hospital on Wednesday. At the moment I'm not sure if it's just going to be for the day or if I'm going to be in there for a few days. Depends what they find when they do some tests and some probing. Hopefully when I get the results back of that testing I'll actually know what's wrong with me and it can start getting fixed. But until then I can't tell you any more because I don't know anymore. And I attempted to cheer myself up from my dread of hospitals by buying myself a new tablet. So I bought a thing called the Lynx 10, which is a little 10.1 inch Windows 8.1 tablet. Seems pretty good. Loaded it up with movies and music and stuff, so it'll keep me entertained if I do have to stay in hospital. To be honest, I'm not really missing much in the way of videos because there's no updates to CTE this week because they're all at E3. And it's a similar story for Battlefield 4. No real news coming out from Battlefield. There was no announcement at E3 about Battlefield 5, so that hasn't had any details released from it. There was some Battlefront stuff, but I'm not going to play the trailer and talk over it. Similar thing for Fallout 4. There was a lot of information about Fallout 4 at E3, but other than saying I'm definitely buying the special edition with a Pip-Boy, there's not really much point talking about Fallout 4 because you can all go off and watch that. The first DLC for Hardline has been released, but that hasn't filled me with anticipation, and as my time at the PC is kind of limited at the moment, Hardline isn't something that I'm desperate to rush off and play and tell you all about. So I won't be doing any videos on the DLC and the guns and stuff because I really just don't have the enough interest in it to sit there in pain and play Hardline. So I have been playing a bit of Battlefield 4 just to keep myself entertained, so that's why you've got this footage in the background. It's probably a bit late to be talking about changes made in the spring patch, but what I'm using is the Ace 23, which is now clearly the best assault rifle in Battlefield 4 and probably the best gun in Battlefield 4. Now, usually the term best is a bit of a problem because people use different guns for different things. But it is clearly now the best assault rifle. It was already one of the best assault rifles. Personally, I use the M416 just because I found I could control it easier. But even I've switched to the Ace 23 now, and it's all down to that magazine size. They've increased its magazine to a maximum of 36 rounds, and those extra 5 rounds make a big difference. Now sure, there are better assault rifles at close range like the AEK or at long range like the SCAR, but overall, at all distances, the Ace 23 is the most consistent performer. The Ace 23 isn't the only gun that's had a surprising buff. If you look at the G18 now, its recoil is a lot more controllable and it's a lot more accurate. It did get a bit of a nerf in the fact that it lost a couple of bullets, but the G18 is now surprisingly good and may well drag me away from the 93R. Another gun that got a surprising buff is the MPX. Now the MPX was a really good PDW. Personally I use the CZ3A1 because if I'm using a PDW I want the maximum killing power at close ranges. But the MPX is now effective out at medium ranges, and there aren't really that many PDWs that are. Now again, the MPX did get a bit of a nerf. Its weird little damage model has now been reduced, but it's still really effective because that damage model didn't really give it a massive advantage, whereas the consistency of its accuracy and recoil now really does give it an advantage over all the other PDWs. Another gun you might want to take a fresh look at is the M240B, because all the heavy machine guns have had a bit of a recoil buff, but the M240B seems to be the most usable of them. Now, I don't really like the heavy damage LMGs with their massive recoil. I prefer the magazine-fed, lighter weight LMGs that are more manoeuvrable. But the M240B, although clunky, is a lot better than it used to be. So I guess really the message of this video is, if you've been using the same gun for a while, like I have with the M416, it's worthwhile after the spring patch of just going out and checking some of the alternatives, because a lot of guns got buffs. Some guns did get nerfs, or what feels like nerfs. The DMRs I really don't like now. Don't know what they've done to them, but I can't hit the broadside of a barn with them anymore. But there's a lot of guns out there that are a lot better than they used to be. So go and check them out. My plan for the rest of this week is to get some gameplay in and to actually edit some gameplay videos together so that I've got something to narrate over the top. That way, if I do have to go into hospital or do end up having surgery, I can just record some narration, put it over the top of those videos and keep you up to date with what's going on. It's something I thought about doing a couple of weeks ago and never got round to, so now I'm going to do it just in case. So I've got an emergency backup for the channel. Anyway, that's the update. Thanks for watching, and I'll keep you informed when I know anything.